Hi guys, it is Crazy Cat Day. So reading Dracula took me an extraordinarily longer amount of time than it normally would. Also, Halo came out. That's self-explanatory. So I'm dead, which is why you also don't get makeup. I have to go to class tonight as well, so this is what they're gonna get to. Broncos t-shirt and pajamas, essentially, is what's happening right now. But anyway, so Dracula took me forever, because I've been dealing with all of Halloween stuff. Plus, it's kind of a big book. I started reading it last year, which was another problem. I barely remembered anything that I read last year, because last year I was also crazy about Halloween. But I had to, the most confusing part was, just remembering where people were and, like, what cities they were in. A lot of people know the story of Dracula. Dracula is probably, like, the classic Halloween book. It's really the only Halloween book I can think of, maybe Frankenstein. The very beginning of the book is the explanation of Dracula's first interaction with this group of people that become the main characters. The whole book is written in a series of journal entries and documentations. So you get a whole bunch of people's points of view, but it's like articles and journal entries and diaries, letters, and it's in chronological order, and I think that's really interesting, that everything is in that state of, like, evidence and documentation. So it starts off with Jonathan Harker. I don't quite remember how, keep in mind that I read this a year ago when I wasn't fully paying attention to the book. He ends up in Count Dracula's castle, but Count Dracula says, okay, these are your quarters, you know, you've got, like, this dining room and kitchen area, and then your bedroom, and then here's my bedroom, and then here's the pathway to the rest of the house. You shouldn't go there. I'm gonna keep it locked for you. Well, here's the giant library. That should keep you distracted from the locked door, right? He has dinner with Count Dracula every day. I'm not sure if he has breakfast with him, but he has dinner with him every day, and he spends a lot of time in the library. He still definitely feels trapped, though. So he starts trying to figure out more about the things that he's not allowed to look at. So, you know, that hallway that leads to the rest of the house, and why can't he go out the front door? So he has a strange encounter with 3 women after he breaks out, essentially. He pretends like nothing happens, Dracula doesn't bring anything up, and then Dracula leaves the house, and essentially condemns him to death. At this point, he knows that Count Dracula is a vampire and that those other 3 women are vampires, and he doesn't want to be near them, and he doesn't want to die, so he climbs out a window and escapes, and he kind of has a mental break and gets sent to the hospital. He has a girlfriend at home. That's the last we hear of him for a little while. Then it switches over to his girlfriend, whose name is Mina, and Mina is right now living with this other girl, Lucy, and her mother, and they share a room together, and, you know, they're having a pretty good time. And Lucy is seeing this other guy. His name is Arthur. See, this is where I get lost, because I don't remember where all of the characters are 100% of the time. I feel like Arthur was on vacation as well, or he wasn't there for a little while. But everything is going good until Lucy starts sleepwalking, and she used to sleepwalk when she was little as well. And so they just assume that the stress of being concerned for Arthur, they assume that it's just stress related, and that's why she's sleepwalking, and so they, like, lock the door. Lucy's not in a good health condition after that, and she seems very anemic. So they call their friend Dr. Seward, who's, like, the town doctor. He works at an asylum, actually. So they ask him to come and look at Mina, and he's like, wow, she's not looking so good. So then he calls his good friend that he went, it's actually one of his teachers for medical school, Professor Van Helsing, and, you know, asks for his help on this confusing medical mystery. And Van Helsing comes over and immediately knows what the problem is. That's really it. Those are all the characters. So I didn't really know 100% of what I was getting myself into when I started reading this book. I really liked it, but there's a lot of confusing, convoluted things that are not really fully explained, because the scariest part is that you kind of make it in your mind. It's not until the very end that everything kind of culminates. And I mean, like 10 pages, less than 10 pages from the end. So everything is like dark and European and dreary, and you know what I mean. I really liked it. My favorite part of all of it was that it was written through letters and stuff, and we got every single person's point of view, because, you know, every single one of them wrote down their ideas and their perspective. The one thing that I really like about Bram Stoker is that every piece of information is thoughtfully given out. So he waits to divulge stuff until the most opportune times. Normally I don't like information being withheld from me, but it adds to the suspense, and it makes you have to think things through for yourself and try and figure it out. It's definitely a really good Halloween book. There's a lot of just general creepiness. I gave it a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads, I believe. I'm pretty sure. And I definitely recommend it to anyone who likes scary books or thrillers or suspenseful books at all. You should totally read it. That's pretty much it. That's all I've got to do for now. I have all my links down below with Goodreads and all that good junk. Any recommendations for next year are appreciated. December 1st is the day that I'm going to do all of my planning for next month or next year, and which books I'll be reading each month. You know, if you don't give me any input, then you can't be mad about what I read or don't read next year.